Welcome to the No Love Podcast, where we decrease tomorrow's divorce rate today by teaching singles and couples alike how to experience love on purpose and not by chance. I'm your host, Edward L. Fairley, accompanied by my wonderful, lovely co-host, Michelle Larkin. Michelle, say hi to the people.
Hey, y'all. It's that day again. Thursday. No love day.
Yes, Thursday, no love.
I need me some love today.
I hope this is the show to make you feel loved by the end of the day. You know, some of the shows make people feel a little uncomfortable. We'll see.
I just need a dose of love conversation. We'll see what we come up with tonight.
All right, let's see how that works. Let's start with you. What you got going on? It's been 2 weeks. We took off for your birthday last week. Happy belated birthday.
First, let me say it was in quarantine time, right? So there's nobody up in here. So it was the most special. It was the first time I kind of shared out on social media. It was my birthday because I typically don't, but I got so much love. I was so grateful. I was so humble. I was like, I love it. So it was very special, and I thank everybody who sent a wish. I think I responded to every single one with.
You did. I'm like, wow. God bless her.
It was so needed. It was so needed. So you just don't know.
Hey, God bless
it. It was great. It was great. But also, other than that, I've been really blessed because I was doing the Queen's Moves webinar. And I'm the last of a series of 3 is this Saturday, and I landed a new coaching client, and one of my previous coaching clients was featured on the cover of the Philadelphia Tribune in the leisure section, which was a goal of hers. So again, I'm just like really humbled by that, and then also able to do a workshop with college students this week. So I got some friends together. We did one for college students getting into the workplace. And that was so awesome to see students benefit from the wisdom of people who are willing to share it and just be meeting in the middle, like that generational, connection of, older generation and the millennials. And it was just really nice to see that nice exchange and being able to facilitate that. So I feel really blessed and honored and humble, but I'm tired. I'm tired of being in the house by myself.
Okay. That was random. Okay. Tell us how you really feel. Tell us how you really feel. Wow. That was just so random.
I said my 9 to 5 has been rough. There's a lot going on over there. So I was just like, I can't wait to have this conversation. It's going to be a very lovely distraction.
It wasn't even a crescendo. Like you just went from one octave. You just went in. Oh, wow. Okay. All right. Okay. So you're going to elaborate on the whole Saturday coming up? Are you going to share the link? What's up?
Oh, my bad. If you go to queensmoves.net, you will be able to register for the finale of the series, right? So there's 3, and it will come back again in 30, 40 days. But it's called Crowned Queen, right? So it's about when you get to ascending to your personal throne, which is the ability to manage what's going on between your ears. I don't believe that every woman is a queen. I believe that we start out as princesses, and at some point in our life, when we start to take responsibility before ourselves, be responsible for others, we take on the responsibility of our queendom, and we start to rule it. And this is the conversation about what does it take to ascend to that position, shift your crown into position, and walk out the process of living like the queen that you are. And so that's going to be cool. I'm excited about it. But if you go to queensmoves.net, you can register. I've had some amazing feedback. It's been both a give and a take. It's been one of the greatest blessings of quarantine, to be honest. So if you're interested, I would encourage, if you'd like to attend, please feel free. It doesn't cost nothing. It's a safe space to talk about your stress in a way that's going to allow you to assume the position of grace and responsibility, and just be supported and encouraged.
That's what's up.
Mhm.
I love it. I love it. The
All right,
things
that
that are
was a
being
good edit.
birthed, the things that are being birthed in this quarantine, man.
Woo,
I'm looking
truth.
forward to seeing, yeah, what's
I know
going
you
to
got some
happen.
news too, sir. Anything and something going on? You guys want to share anything going on in your life?
Uh, I'm not doing it this time. When it comes, it's just going to come. I'm not even giving
I,
teasers or anything like that. You know, and those who are in my circle know. It's coming. That's all I'm gonna do is say it's coming. And when it comes, I'm just gonna say, go here, enjoy the
enjoy.
fruits of hard labor and a journey. But just be mindful that you all are always top of mind. I'm going hard in the paint for you all. I'm
Mhm.
working hard to get some tools accessible to you all. So just please be patient as I'm forcing myself to be patient. David Jamel just said, yeah, it's coming. So he's somebody that I did share information with. Thank you, sir. Um, what do I have going on? I just been
King,
family,
King, King
family.
moves, King. I'm just saying.
Hey, my
King.
wife has the the queen shirt. This is actually something that I got for her because it's something that she wanted. So we got like 3 hoodies that have king and queen. So that's what that's all about. That happened about a year or some change ago. I think some Christmas. I don't know if it was this one or previous one. Probably the previous one. But um, speaking of queen, she spoke to me like a boss last week. It was real though. I'll probably talk more about it later on in the show. But my son, because my barber, I called just to check on him, just in general. Hey, what's going on? What's your moves? You all right? You good? You need anything? Um, so he was like, yeah, you can hear the background. You hear the phone in the background? I'm like, nah, I didn't hear the phone in the background, but what's going on? He said, yeah, we're open. I'm just doing one client at a time. It's by appointment only. So I said, cool. Well, let me know what your system is. We'll figure all the other stuff out later. I was just doing my regular check-in. And he said, well, next week, if you're not busy or whatever, it'll probably be in the evening time. We can set you up. I said, cool. Let me know. Hung up the phone, went to my wife, said, hey, barbershop is open. He's doing one person at a time. He said probably sometime next week, which would be this week, later on in the evening. And I said, so he's opened up and it's just one person. And my wife looked at me. She didn't flinch or anything. She said, you can go, but Ezra can't go, my son. Now, typically, the word can't is not even allowed in my house. But she was so like, this is her truth. Like, this whole Corona thing, I'm not playing with this. What part of when you come in the house? I don't even let the kids hug you. You have to come out of your clothes. I take all of the actual groceries, and she bleaches and hand washes or wipes every single item when I go grocery shopping. I take my mask off, take my clothes off. I have to shower before the children can touch me, hug me, anything. So basically, I'm a leper when I get home from anything outside of the house. All right. So when she said that, it just helped me confirm how she's like, yo, this whole
I didn't
quarantine
know
thing, she
that.
said, you can do it, but he can't. And I said, you know what? You're right. But if he can't, I can't, because I'm not gonna have a professional cut, and my son has a daddy cut. That's just not how it's gonna work. So I went online and I paid the fine, and I said we're gonna figure this out together. I'm gonna buy some clippers, and I'm gonna cut my own hair. I'm gonna cut his hair. And what better way to learn how to fail or succeed at hair cutting when no one can see you? Now, if I mess up on me, hey, y'all will see me, but just know that I'm going through a process of learning. I use my regular clippers for us this week because, unfortunately, when I saw where it's being delivered from, I got discouraged. I'm like, China, like it's gonna be a while
Did
before
you? Did
before I
you?
get them daggone clippers. But so I just use my regular clippers, and this is what I got. So I'm okay with it. I'm alive. glad my wife doesn't look at me and determine as to whether she's attracted to me based on my physicalities. Because nothing has been diminished in that regard, for lack of a better term. So, but I say all that to say, my wife's truth, and she just was straight up. You can go, but he can't go. And I'm like, true. And if he can't go, I can't go. We both gonna be in this together. So it is what it is. David Jamel said, she's telling you right. Exactly. I'm in the hospitals, and it's serious. Please be careful if you're in the front line. Thank you for doing what you do. He said, that's how I learned. He said, cutting hair, pointed up. Okay. Yeah. You got to learn somewhere. But in the end, there's times where people get all cocky. Well, I'm the man. You don't tell me what to do. And it's like, no, ultimately, the end game is the betterment of our family. If her decision-making is for the betterment of my family, I can easily process that and be like, you know what? You're exactly right. And so let's move on. He said, get you some wall clippers from Walmart, the white ones with the, I appreciate it. But I did all of that. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. So let's get in on this topic. The topic title is Truth and Dare. Truth and Dare. And I'll I'll summarize what it is and why I named it that, because I'm gonna give you the truth, and then I'm gonna end the whole process of the show with a charge or a dare, so to speak. All right. So the truth is gonna be broken down into 3 parts, and then the charge will be the dare. All right. So it's gonna be a little uncomfortable, but it's the truth.
Oh, here we go.
It's gonna be a little uncomfortable for some, but again, it's the truth. So again, the title of today's topic is Truth and Dare. So let's go ahead and jump in on truth. The first point of truth is what you don't know is a direct reflection of what you won't do. What you don't know, I'm gonna unpack it. What you don't know is a direct reflection of what you won't do. Interestingly enough, this whole thing came from me listening to Queen's Moves and listening to people's questions and thought processes and everything. So this is what birthed it probably about a month ago. So what you don't know is a direct reflection of what you won't do. So what do I mean by that? What does that mean, Eddie? I'm glad that you asked. So if you don't know how he feels about you, if you don't know how she feels about you, it's because you won't ask him or her how she feels about you. If she won't do that thing that you want her to do for you, or he won't do that thing that you want for him to do for you, it's because you won't ask him to do that thing that you want him to do for you.
Come out of your mouth.
If he or she is not doing that thing that y'all are doing correctly, or he or she is not doing what y'all are doing correctly, it's because you're not bold enough to correct them on how to do it. So we can break this price to be paid. We can break this up in so many different ways, but in the end, what you don't know is a reflection of what you won't do. Period. That's the truth. So I can transition this to business. If you don't try the business, you won't know if you'll be successful in the business. If you don't make more money, it's because you haven't tried to make more money. If you don't live in a better neighborhood, it's because you're not doing the necessary steps to get you to a better neighborhood. What you don't know is a reflection of what you won't do. So you either won't get the education, you either won't jump out there, you put the blank, you fill in the blank. So, Michelle, is that you just receiving that? You got any thoughts on that before we transition to the next
First
part?
thought was, I mean, most people's thing is what I can't do. And so when you're saying I won't do, I think most people hear what I can't do. Or like, so like you said, you won't be bold enough, or you won't, take this risk. And there are people who come at it from because I can't, which is a deeper question, right? Is why can't you? Is what are you afraid of, or what is your insecurity? So there's a deeper question there.
So we had it.
But I also understand what you're saying. Is your outcome is directly proportionate to your effort. There's a connection there.
Yeah, that's why I say what you won't do, because in the end, it's our responsibility to have whatever kind of results that we have. And I just was really thinking about my brother that I lost this year, or the year before last, and he saw a very close friend of his die of cancer. And he saw the process, the chemo, the deterioration, and everything. And he told me, he said, all I could see is Darren. I see how he went. And he said, it scares the light. He said, it scares me to death, man. I just saw him go through this process. But that's all he saw. And he saw that as his end. And he wouldn't change the picture until that end came to pass. And he would not change the picture. I tried to get him to change the picture, look to see something different, and he just accepted what he saw, and unfortunately created his faith. What we look at, how we see things, our brains are created or set up to make them true. Period. Which is why it says, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." So if you look at things a certain way, I can't do that because of this. It's going to be because of this that you don't. And so I'm putting the ball in your court, which is why I'm saying it's going to be uncomfortable. But the reality is your situation is a direct reflection of what you're doing or not doing.
That's true. That's true.
So that's why I say what you don't know, meaning what the alternative is, or what the on the other side of it, whatever that is, that you haven't experienced yet, is because of what you don't or you will not do. David Jamel says, so what if you tell the partner what they need to do, and they either won't or are simply incapable of doing it, whatever that is? Then you do know that you have a partner that's not going to do it.
Now you know.
And you have options from that wisdom. Otherwise, your experience is speculation, and you have nothing that you can do with speculation. Yeah, but at least if you bring that to the table, now you know the truth, and you can move however you need to move from there. But if you don't say anything, if you don't do anything, you stuck with what you got. And unfortunately, for lack of a better term, you kind of created what you got.
You get stuck with assumptions. If you base your life decisions on assumptions, you limit your opportunities and your possibilities because you haven't really vetted them, and so you haven't made a move. Like you said, in Queen's Moves, it's interesting to hear people talk about where they are in their life and what's going on or what they don't have, and then you challenge them with why, and you keep asking them why, and they're like, because I didn't think, because I didn't ask, or because I haven't tried, or because I'm afraid. And then you go, but why? And you're right, it's because I haven't taken X action. Exactly. So I have either faced my fear, or I haven't taken step one, or I haven't read the book, or I haven't put myself in the group of people to support me, or I haven't taken an action. And so there's an equal and opposite reaction. With no action, you get stagnation.
Exactly. So it's not until you do something that you really know what you're working with. And it's so many people that just making a whole bunch of conspiracy theories up. Well, she's going to do this, she'll say this, or he'll do this, or whatever. And you never get anywhere. So again, what you don't know is a direct reflection of what you won't do, period. So if you're either going to do something, you'll get a response, and then okay, so now I got to work with what I got. Now I know the truth. Now I know he ain't feeling me like that. Now I know she's not feeling me like that. Okay, so I can move on. You can stop wasting time now, actually. Putting all of this time and focus in this person that you're hoping or wishing that these are signs that he or she is wanting you or not. You can stop wasting time. You can move to the next person, move to whatever. Just like you said, like, what if they're incapable or they won't? Okay, time to transition or accept the truth and be okay with it. So that's the answer to that. So let's transition to the next part, which you kind of alluded to. So we go from what you don't know is a direct reflection of what you won't do, and what you won't do is a direct reflection of what you're scared of. Mm-hmm. Hate to pull cards, but let's call it what it is. We gotta put on our big girls' panties and our big boys' drawers, man. This is the real is reality. Like, that's why I said it's gonna be a dare at the end. Ultimately, it's gonna be a dare. But whatever it is that you won't do is a direct reflection of what you're scared of. You can try to dress it up, make it seem pretty or whatever, but if you want to call yourself a man or whatever, all the stuff that you want experience and you want to call yourself a woman is what you're scared of. It's a direct reflection of what you're scared of, the stuff that you won't do. So I'm scared that he really don't like me.
I'm getting a whole bunch of over here in my watch party. I think Charity Ford is watching, and she's like, thumbs up on that one.
So yeah, it's a direct reflection of what you're scared of. So okay, you won't ask because you're scared of. I was just talking to this young lady about how she feels kind of frustrated because she knows her man can do certain things in the house, but he won't tell them how to do it. And I said, well, unfortunately, the reason why is because he's in a shaky place. With him being able to do the things that y'all can't, he's needed. When y'all know how to do it, he's not needed. Which in turn tells me that he has self-esteem issues and he's concerned about his value and his worth. When you get to a place where you can't share your knowledge and wisdom, is because you're scared that that person's going to either duplicate what you did and don't need you and move on, and that you lack whatever it is. Mm-hmm. So unfortunately, that's something that both of them are going to have to work on. She's going to have to love him enough to where he feels comfortable with being at a place where he's wanted and not needed, so that he does not feel the need to be needed, so he doesn't share and he doesn't hoard information from her. So again, what you won't do is a direct reflection of what you're scared of. So we can talk about business. I'm scared of failure. Well, okay, I won't start a business because what if I fail the business? If you fail the business, you're right at where you are right now because you don't have a business right now. All this relationship stuff, it translates to anything. This is why I'm so passionate about this, because if I can get you all to grasp this information and then transition it to your everyday life, I promise you, you'll win at everything, because everything is revolving around being successful in a relationship. And the ultimate place is love, but we'll get there. So what you won't do is a direct reflection of what you are scared of. So I'm pulling your card. So if you won't do it, if you won't start the business, it's because you're scared. If you won't ask him or her out, it's because you're scared. If you won't ask her to do this, it's because you're scared. If you won't ask or correct her and how she's approaching you from your body standpoint, or correct him the way he's making love to you, whatever, it's because you're scared. Now the question is, what are you scared of? You scared that, well, I don't want him to feel like he don't know what he's doing. He don't. That's why you're uncomfortable, and that's why you hate the whole experience. So you're going to stay in that predicament where you're uncomfortable the whole experience because you're not brave enough to ruin his ego for a moment so that you can have unlimited pleasure in the future because you can teach him how to do it correctly? Like, what are we doing here?
What are we doing?
Well, what if he leaves me? Well, then you have an opportunity for somebody to do it right. How about that? You just made room.
Mm-hmm.
What are you scared of?
I think that the idea of being afraid is sometimes where fear is based on things that either a past experience or something you've made up in your mind as a potential experience, and so there's a hesitancy to embrace or experience something for fear of the outcome, right? But actually, every move you make gives you information for how to make the next move. So, like you said, even if you fail, you have actually gathered intel and information that you didn't
Get
have that's
closer.
actually
To
tangible,
get closer to the
right?
yeah.
Because
Heck yeah.
experience is a better teacher than words or reading or listening to somebody else's experience. So like you have to have your own experience because that
Yeah.
informs your next move. And it also dissipates fear. It truly dissipates fear.
What blows my mind about this whole thing, 9 times out of 10, the stuff that we're scared is going to happen feels like exactly what's happening. So you know what that looks like. You know what that feels like. What if I'm going to be alone all the rest of my life? You know what that feels like. You're by yourself now. Like, you know, that is the worst case scenario. That is your situation. What if I don't tell him that the way he's going down there is wrong? Then you know what that feels like. Like, you know what the worst case scenario is. Like, the best thing that can happen is he stopped. Whether it be he left you or he stops doing it incorrectly or vice versa. She stops or she stops doing it that way. That's the worst case. I promise you, like, if you really, really take the time to think, your worst case scenario is your scenario. Because the only reason why you want to start the entrepreneurial journey is to get out of your current situation. That's the reason why. You want to stop going to somebody else as your boss. You want to stop being at this glass ceiling or whatever that they have. Like, the whole point is to get out of the current situation.
I would say though that sometimes that fear, like trying something new. So just like even doing this, Queens was just doing the webinars and getting out in front of people. There's the imposter syndrome, right? So you get out there and you're like, people are gonna judge me. It's that step of taking the step and facing your fear that uncovers maybe your next insecurity, right? So yes, you're going to take a step, you're going to make a move, you're going to do something, but that might uncover your next fear or insecurity, which it like right now, what if this goes to the point where I have like 10 coaching clients and I have a 9, like that's a fear too, but that's the fear that's going to take me to the next level because I got to face that one too. So it uncovers one or another something, but it's okay because it's part of the journey forward. Like fear is a fuel if you let it be.
I agree. I agree with you 100%. But I can assure you, like, people are like, well, what if my book doesn't sell? It's not selling now.
It doesn't exist now. Okay.
Exactly. Like, what in the world? It already, like, that's already what your reality is. I promise you, like, whatever the outcome is that you're concerned about, you are already at the worst point. I'm trying to get people, I really am trying to empower you all. Like, I really need y'all to think. This is called no love for a reason. We're going to know and understand, like, why it doesn't even make sense for our insecurities to be our insecurities, for our lack thereof to be our lack thereof, for us to not make moves, like Queen moves that she just discussed. Like, when we get to this place where we know and love ourselves and we understand our worth and our value, like, these things, they just rub off you. And that's why people think I'm callous and stuff in certain predicaments, is because I'm like, I don't care. You don't matter. And your thought process about me does not matter at all. I'm already validated through me in the eyes of God. You don't trump that, because I look at both me and God as more than you, period. Sorry, because it starts with me. If I don't love me, I can't properly love you. So if I don't do me right, I can't even do you right anyway. So I got to start with me. So I'm sorry, but you come below when it comes to how you feel about me. So when I get this right, everything under that, it takes care of itself. We got to get ourselves right. We got to get ourselves right. So before I transition to the third point, before we go into this dare, you got anything you want to share?
I think it's about leaning in, and I think it's about realizing that you still have control. So you can address a fear, and when it starts going into a place that you're not ready to handle, maybe you still have the ability to pull back and or manage your perception about it. It's not, we're not saying like jump in and just do it just because I'm good. It's like you're still managing. This is what Queen's Moves means about, is knowing yourself enough to know what your thresholds are and manage this territory. And your fears are in this territory. And you need to learn how to manage, to build, to develop, to build strategy. Think of it like it's a country. Like you are here to have an impact. So your fears are really what it feels like when you're stretching your territory. When you start new things, it's fearful, but it's also part of growth. And it's when you don't address them. And I think I say in my class that lack of decision is the source of frustration. So if you're afraid and you don't make a decision, you've just frustrated yourself. That's nobody else's fault. Make a decision, either care about it or don't care about it. Do something about it or don't do something about it. But even deciding not to do something about it is a decision.
Yeah.
But not making a decision is the source of crazy frustration. Speaking from experience.
Yeah, yes. Not saying something is saying something. Like that's it's saying that you're okay with whatever the circumstance that you're in. Like if you don't say anything, you're saying I agree with this. Keep it coming, Daddy. Keep it coming, Mama. Like what? Like no, that is not that. My mind doesn't work that way. It's like what? No, stop. Don't.
You know what? Fear does also come from a place of not believing you have a voice. Sometimes. You know, like if you, like you're saying, I don't want to tell them that this isn't working. Some of that's come from, do I believe that my voice matters and what I'm saying matters? But it goes back to what you're saying too. It's like if I don't love myself, then of course my voice doesn't matter. I'm not listening to me. Why would anybody else listen to me?
Which is a alley-oop to number 3. So the first part is what you don't know is a reflection of what, direct reflection of what you won't do. 2 is what you won't do is a direct reflection of what you're scared of. Pulling a card. You scared? Say you scared. and 3 is what you're scared of is a direct reflection of where you feel love can't reach. Say that again.
You better preach. The hashtag 9 on that one. Right? Hashtag 9 on that one.
Hashtag 9. What you are scared of is a direct reflection of where you feel love can't reach. The opposition of love is fear, period. And where you feel that you are inadequate, where you feel that if she leaves me, or he could leave me if I do this, or I don't have a voice, is because you don't feel love is big enough to reach wherever you're lacking in that place. And that is a serious problem. And that's what this whole journey is. And that's why I keep attacking your thought process. You made a lot of great statements. You said they're going to judge you. I hear this a lot, especially with pastors and stuff. And I'm like, that's cool. But love is even a step further than that. Because you have people that says, okay, yeah, you should be able to share, but you got to watch who you share with. Well, if you get to a place where you love yourself, it doesn't matter who you share whatever with. And I know people want to say, well, you should have your inner circles and da-da-da-da. Even this whole thing where I shared with my certain people, it wasn't because they're necessarily special. It's because I don't like giving out deadlines that aren't going to be met, period. If I don't have control over it, I don't want to share that with people and get people's expectations up to fall short of that. That's the only reason why I haven't shared. It's not, I want to take away from my information. I don't want to take away from the value of my inner circle. It's just these are people that I like to let them know what's going on and what I'm working with. But it's not that I'm keeping it from y'all because they're more valuable or anything of that nature. It's because when I give it to y'all,
And all the people that are in that inner circle, they've encountered this in some way, shape, or form, whether it be directly or indirectly. When I tell y'all, I want you all to be able to experience. We've gone through the process where I've shared that this is about to happen, and because I had no control over it, it didn't happen. So I'm tired of telling people that this ain't happening because of something that I don't have no control over. So the way I can control that is don't say nothing. So learn from it. But ultimately, I promise you, and this is just the reality of what it is. When you get to a place where you absolutely love yourself, who you are, who you've been, who you've become because of what you've been, there is nothing that you can't share with anybody. There's no group, there's no persons. Oh, I can't speak like that. I can't be like that. When you get to a place where you love you, you don't have pastor talk, friend talk, wife talk, him talk, she talk, them talk. Like it doesn't operate that way. I'm not going to alter there's no Eddie behind the camera, Eddie on the side, Eddie here, Eddie, like, no. Eddie's thought process and philosophies are always me, and I'm fine with who I am, and I don't care how you feel about who I am and what I believe in my thought process. But because of that, it allows for me to really be me. But on the other hand, when you are concerned about whether people are going to stick around or like you or believe in you or support you or whatever in your thoughts, to where you alter yourself to be a certain way around certain people, and I can't tell her because if she take this or whatever, she can do this and destroy me and all that stuff like that. You're already destroying yourself by having that type of thought process and secrets in you. That's already destroying you. You're doing it yourself. One of the things that I hate hearing most is he or she threw me under the bus. No one can throw you under the bus. You throw yourself under the bus and people point. That's what that is. Like there's no such thing as somebody throwing you under the bus. You messed up. People pointed at what you did, and that's what it is. No one can throw you under the bus. So get yourself from under the bus by getting life right so that nobody can throw you under the bus. Or be okay with what under the bus looks like to where it don't matter who knows how under the bus you are. I'm literally like, I hated that the guy was destroying himself in the process, but I was on a business meeting literally talking about stocks and trade or whatever, and the guy that's on Zoom, he got money, he fine with himself, he's literally rolling up a blunt on the Zoom, licking it, spinning it and everything, and everybody's doing their thing, but nobody's judging him. I'm just feeling bad because he's hurting himself. But at the same token, he's fine with himself. And he's dropping off information, jewels, about what our next move gonna be, stocks and shares, but he's fine with himself. But it's that type of person that could better themselves better than a person that's hiding themselves. And when you get to a place where you're fine with yourself, that's when you can grow. That's where love lies. That's where true, genuine, and the essence of love lies. And that's where we need to get to, where people feel comfortable with being themselves around us so that we can possibly get help. Because if we're hiding ourselves, we can't get help because the fact that we need it is hidden. So it's not until the guy sees people coughing because he's okay with them being in their environment that he can possibly see that this might not be good for people's bodies. So let me read what Lisa put really quickly here. She said, communicate no matter how uncomfortable the topic may be. No one can read your mind. Love yourself enough to speak up and love the way you want to be loved without fear. That's exactly right. When you get to that place, when you love yourself, like the sky is the limit. Nothing holds you. And if you think about it, that's literally what keeps people in bondage. The secrets, the stuff that they don't want people to know. So it has you isolated to where you think you're the only one going through it, and the enemy is allowing you to keep on going through it by yourself because you won't share, when there's plenty of other people who've been through it and can tell you how to get out of it, but because you didn't share that you're in it, you don't know how to get out. That's literally why I know that what I'm building is going to be successful, because nobody wants to tell people that they have relationship problems. I get consistently almost 200 listeners, but I only get 5 to 7 people who comment. These consistent numbers mean that y'all are watching, but y'all don't want to say that y'all got a problem. And it's okay with me. I've already figured that out, but I love you enough to create tools to still help you. I just want you to get the help. I don't care how you get it. I don't care if I get patted on the back or get the credit. I just want you to get help, period. That's it. And I love you enough to accept you for who you are. And we're going to talk about who we are, and then we're going to move forward. But that only comes when we get to a place where we love ourselves enough to accept that we have fallen short, and we loved ourselves through us falling short, forgiving ourselves while falling short, and then we can do that for other people, which in turn will allow people to continuously start being transparent, saying that they have a problem, and everybody gets help because everybody's loved. Says, man, a lot of this is good stuff.
Isn't that the source of intimacy?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Isn't that the real source of intimacy? Is the transparency and the acceptance and the ability to communicate uncomfortable and personal information. That's the real source of connection.
If there is no transparency, there is no intimacy. Period. If there's no transparency, there is no intimacy. Not at all. There is none. David Jamel, elaborate, man. Still walking wisdom. You stated that. What does that mean? A lot of it is good stuff. Still walking wisdom. There's a meaning behind that. What do you mean by that? What does that mean, walking wisdom? No. It's a guy, David Jamel. He put still walking wisdom after he said a lot of good stuff. And we're only on one topic where if you're scared, and it came from when I was saying, when you get to a place where you can only share with certain people, then you're in a bad place. He says, well, you really have to be careful with what you share with whom. Like what? Give me an example.
I think it's kind of like from what you're saying, it's kind of like if you already admit your faults, you've disarmed the person who would like to use your faults against you. Or if you've made a mistake, if you own it, then you can't tell me that I already know I told you that I made the mistake.
If you are embarrassed about something, being the first person to talk about it ruins anybody else's power over that, because you have no power over me. If I tell you that I messed up, if I tell you I cheated, you can't tell that I cheated. I told her already. What you gonna do now? We're working through it. What can you do? I used to do drugs. I told them now. What can you do? You can't do nothing. I used to be a prostitute. What can you do? I used to do porn. What can you do? I robbed you of all the power that you had by saying, hey, don't make me tell them about that episode you did. I got the link. I robbed you of that. If I already share, now, I'm not saying go and just tell all your information. I'm saying when your information can help somebody, you need to share that mess. I don't just go out and willy-nilly share. Whenever I share stuff that's supposedly transparent on this show, and I don't even know where the line is, to be perfectly honest with you, I just share. So when I share stuff here, I'm always giving examples of when I was in the predicament, when I cheated, when I was having issues with sex, when I was going through a troubled marriage, when I had my insecurities. He said, some things can do more harm to your mission than good. A woman trying to date won't tell the world she has AIDS, and she's trifling. I'm sorry, if you're out having sex and stuff and you know you have AIDS, you're just pretty much despicable. She said she would tell her future current spouse, like, first of all, I think you should be open and honest with your situation before you even get the person to the point where
the choice to engage.
Like, wow, that's just not cool. Says, there you go. When it can help somebody, that's what I was getting at. You just addressed it. Well, if I'm holding out that I have AIDS until marriage, that ain't helping the person that is falling in love with me throughout the process. Sorry, it's just not. It's kind of.
I think that
it's not cool at all. That is definitely not in love at all. That is selfishness, and that's the thing. That's what we need to really understand. From a biblical standpoint, it says God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, so that you or they may have eternal life. So everything was done so that someone else could benefit. There's no benefit to God in that transaction. It's not even transactional. That's why I always say it's a one-way. Love is a one-way street. It's stuff that is done for the betterment of the person that you're doing it for, not for yourself. So if anything that you claim you're doing out of love is to benefit you, that's not love. Period.
To include not telling.
Yeah, well, yeah. But that would be the reason why you would want to find someone that is loving, so that when they're responding to you, everything that they're doing is because they love you and they want to affirm and grow and just make you a better person. That's when you are in a great and loving relationship. But love in itself is a selfless act. There is absolutely no benefit for yourself if you're doing it out of love. Period. So if you have a mission that is out of love, that's when that is a problem. That's when your actual mission can be destroyed, David Mel, because your mission isn't about helping people. Because the only way that someone can destroy my mission is if it's not to benefit people. And there's nothing that you can do with this mission. I'm trying to help people. I would love to hear somebody try to destroy me. What could your plan be? My app is free. The podcast is free. What is your plan of destruction? What is it? You gonna cut my internet line? This is Wi-Fi. It's not direct. Like, what can you do? He said, why would she tell the whole world when they aren't the ones she's getting with? It's one thing to tell those that matter. It's another thing to simply broadcast it to the world. I just spoke to that earlier. I said, don't just willy-nilly share stuff, but when it makes sense, that's when you share. But there's a lot of people that don't even step up and say, hey, I had that problem too. Hey, this is where my struggle lies. Hey, this is what's going on with me, and this is how I got through. This is literally what my business model is. I got through. Now I want you.
Let me reach back.
I didn't mean to rhyme it like Dr. Seuss. But I got through anything that you could bring up with a relationship. I got through it. And clearly I was put in this world to go through it, to help people go through it. So now, to prevent people from going through it, I'm trying to put tools in place, books, education through this podcast, so that you don't have to go through the long process that it took for me to get to that place. So are we, realize you have control. So yes, I was saying all that to say, to share is to take control. You take it all. You take all the control when you're in love. When you share, when you're open, you're transparent, you have all the control. It's when you hoard and you keep secrets that you've lost control, because everybody that knows the secret is in control of you. And you don't want them to tell a secret. So now you're in bondage. Now you're stuck. But when you get rid of your secret, when you tell everybody, hey, it is what it is. I'm not proud about it, but that's the way I thought. That's the way I carried myself. That's the way I conducted myself. It is what it is. I'm a better person. What can they do?
But that allows you to get to ground zero, where, like you said, then you can change. Because if I've taken away all of the negativity and this control of the other person, now I'm back in control of my own life. I'm back in my own driver's seat. And now I can start making decisions about my life, not based on what you think or what you're going to do, because I've just disarmed you with that by taking it away and taking back responsibility for managing my own life and taking responsibility for whatever the next decisions are that I'm going to make. And I do think that, to the point of like you said, you don't have to share everything all the time. Nobody's supposed to walk around with a billboard telling all their business, listed all and indexed and chaptered out. It's about having enough confidence and self-love to be able to not shy away from something that's uncomfortable, and to be able to lean in and say, ooh, let me share that piece of information, because it's either going to help you, or it's going to bring us closer together, or it's going to make a more honest foundation for whatever we're trying to build.
Exactly. And that's the thing. Like, it's not going around and flamboyantly sharing everything about you. it's being at a place where you could if you needed to, and not being worried or concerned what people think about you, how they feel about you, or whatever. Like my wife, she's not there yet. My wife be like, you ain't have to, why did you have to tell the kids that? Because they asked about it. So my rules in this house is if you're old enough to ask about it, you're old enough to know about it. And the reason why my philosophy is that is because if they're asking about it and I don't tell them, they're still asking about it. So someone else is. I would rather the information and thought process behind that particular topic to come from me, as opposed to some other friend that is not knowledgeable, haven't considered everything or the totality of the situation before they gave them this quote unquote wisdom so that my children can take that and adopt it as truth and make a bad life decision. Nah, if they're old enough to bring it up, I don't care how old you are. We old enough to talk about it. I don't care if you're 4 and you talk about sex. Well, let's sit down and have this conversation. 5, where the babies come from? Let's have this conversation. What is that? Let's have this conversation. Time to have this conversation.
It
is what it is. We're gonna have this conversation.
All words plant seeds, and they come up later. So when you hide things, you're planting like a half a seed, and then when it comes up the wrong plant, you're like, why do you think that? Well, because you didn't tell me anything different. I'm thinking what I assumed based on context, because you wouldn't tell me. I had to make these assumptions, and I had to build a story with filling in the blanks that you won't share. So when it comes out the wrong thing, you're like, why would you think that? Because you didn't tell me.
Exactly. Let me give you, hey. I'm about to share this. Oh my gosh, my wife probably gonna hit this show. We'll have a conversation later. So it was hilarious. My son talking about the thought process of children. So I don't remember what happened. Oh, my wife, she had to go to pee. She's like, man, I gotta go pee. She went to the bathroom, and my son, he looked all confused. He was like, I didn't think girls could pee. And my wife is like, what? What do you mean you didn't think girls could pee? He said, I thought all y'all did was stink. And my wife is like, what? Why did you think that girls only stink? They never pee. Because they never stand up to go to the bathroom. In his mind, when he goes to the bathroom, he has to stand up. That means he's peeing. When he sits down, that means he's thinking. So the fact that y'all always sit down, to him,
logical.
it's the logic of what it is. And this is the kind of thought processes that are going on in even adults' minds. We have these philosophies. We see things and we draw conclusions based off of the limited information that we have because we won't ask questions. We just think that our logic is true. And this is what I'm here to do, to like destroy the barriers that are preventing us from just appreciating truth. Like just that thought process of, if you really think about what you're scared of, is literally the worst thing that can happen is where you're at that moment. Like that should be liberating information. If you can really think about it, like
only go up from here.
It can only get better.
Only get better.
If I fail, I'm still at ground zero. Like I fall here. Like this is where you're at. So this is what I'm saying. Like again, I remember my baby girl when she was probably 4 or 5. I let her play in the tub for a long period of time. She just wanted to play in the tub. Just go play. She stayed in there for like an hour. Came to pick her up, and her hands, of course, wrinkled and pale. And she looked at me so sincere. She said, "Daddy, please don't iron my hands." She sees Daddy ironing all the time. What is her conclusion? Like, yo, I'm wrinkled.
With the iron.
I'm wrinkled. Iron is hot because clearly Daddy has taught her iron hot. Don't touch iron. She sees her hands are wrinkled. Oh my gosh! Like, please don't iron my hands.
And it happens in relationships
all the time.
People make assumptions in relationships, like based on what they believe is logical. But is it true? That's the question. Is
the #9? That's right. Is it truth? Is this always the case? And this is what I try to get us to think about. Like, we draw these conclusions, and I'm like, is there an exception to the rule? If there's an exception to the rule, guess what? It's not a rule. It's not a rule. It is not truth. It's not the rule of truth. How about that? If there's an exception, it's not a rule of truth. Period. No #9. All right. So we have talked about the truth. Now let's go ahead to the dare. The dare, as I charge you all off. Any closing remarks, by the way, Michelle?
No, I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid.
Good, because the dare is that I dare you to start working on loving yourself enough to where the rejection doesn't matter. Dare number 1. I dare you. I dare you to start working on loving yourself enough to where the rejection doesn't matter. If I say this, he might leave. If I say this, she might go. If I tell her this about me, he might leave. If I tell her or tell him this about me, he might not accept me. Just like you talked about the whole AIDS or whatever. If they reject you because of that, then they don't really love you. Sorry. That's the reality of what it is. But at least you know, and you can move on and stop investing wasted time in a person that's just not interested. So I dare you to start loving yourself or working on loving yourself enough to where the rejection doesn't matter. Dare number 2. I dare you to start loving yourself enough to make more money. I dare you, because being fearful is not necessarily fearful of failure. My fear when it came to finances was fearing success. And I don't think we talk about that enough. And when I got to the root of where that came from, I didn't feel worth wealth. I felt like all the stuff that I had done in my life, all the bad things that I had done, I am not worthy of the wealth that God has shown me that is going to be or is mine. So I was fearful of success. Not to mention the fear of, some people are fearful of the not knowing what's going to come behind this success. They have people that, if you are indirectly talking bad about people who are successful, you subconsciously ruin your ability to be successful because you have given yourself this image of how people are who are successful. So it's a lot of retraining that you're going to have to do. So the fear could be, I'm a bad person because I have money, which in turn causes you to indirectly to reject money. So this is what I mean. Like, I dare you to start loving yourself enough to be successful, or to get more, or to have more, or to realize that you're worth more than whatever your circumstance is. Let me read, so the solution is everything you said backwards, right? Accept and love yourself and face your fears. That's so good. When you face your fears, you now know what to do. When you know what to do, you now know what you didn't know. Oh, that's so good. Dare to love yourself enough that rejection no longer matters. That is so good, Lisa. That's exactly right. You do it in reverse. Oh, that's great. That is wonderful. That is so good. You almost brought me to tears with that. That's really good. Do it all in reverse. That wasn't even in my notes, so I'm glad they're in yours. Do it all in reverse. So yes, I dare you to start loving yourself enough to make more money, to increase your worth, your value. Matter of fact, what is it called? Something that I frequent for those who are really interested in like shifting your mindset, because your subconscious is what actually ultimately makes your decisions. I frequently, they're called mind movies. If you go to YouTube, if there's anything that you want to work on shifting or changing when it comes to your thought process or your subconscious, if you type in mind movies and put love or wealth, there's literally, it flashes pictures of things that you could get accustomed to and affirmations in your mind. And if you play them throughout the day, it's feeding your subconscious, which is why y'all hear me say I'm really protective of what I listen to. So it's called mind movies. If you type in mind movies and just type in whatever the topic is, whether it be wealth, whether it be love, whether it be prosperity, whether it be peace, you type in mind movies, it will show. Sometimes they're in 8-hour increments so that you can sleep with them. I sleep with some of them where I'm just playing affirmations in my head to where because it's your subconscious ultimately that is going to make the decision. And that's why I'm saying, like, if you're saying negative things about wealthy people, indirectly, you're telling your subconscious mind that you don't want to be that. Because if you're saying negative about it, clearly if you feel it's negative, you don't want to be what it is that you're calling negative. And unfortunately, the way that movies and everything are typically set up, it makes wealthy people the bad guy. So even indirectly, you're getting taught that wealth is bad, when in actuality, it's not. It's great. And it's the only way to move positive things forward if you are a positive person. So that's a whole nother conversation, whole nother chat before I jump into that. Last dare that I'm going to conclude is, I dare you to start loving yourself enough to share what you know, because you're worth being wanted as opposed to being needed. I kind of indirectly talked about this earlier, so I'll say this again. It says, I dare you to start loving yourself enough to share the things that you know, because you're worth being wanted as opposed to being needed. A lot of people hoard information and keep stuff from you. You're not teaching them how to cook because you don't want him to know how to cook. Then he won't have anything to compliment you on about your cakes or your collard greens or the way you make that macaroni and cheese. Like, come on, man. Like, you keeping your recipe? Like, why I gotta wait until you need to make it in order for me to eat it? Can I just have the recipe? I have people that's like that. I was like, no, I can't tell you what the recipe is. Then what? Then you won't have to do it. So like, but we get to this place where, because our only value is in that thing, which is a problem in itself. So we'll have to tackle that later. But our only value is in what it is that we can do or make. So we try to keep it to ourselves so that we can feel needed, so that they'll stay around, as opposed to loving ourselves to where I give them everything and I know that I want it because I've taught them how to do everything that I could do. Now somebody's with me out of choice, and I know for sure, without a shadow of a doubt, that this person loves me. So if I teach you how to make wealth, if I teach you how to be loved, if I teach you how to be a cook or a domesticator, whatever you want to put it, whatever your talent is, and you stay, now you know you're wanted. They're not there because they need you. So those are the 3 dares. Michelle has written things down, so I want to hear her now closing remarks, because she didn't have any a moment ago. So before we go, what you got to share, Michelle?
I was just the testimony I had was the fear of making more money is real, and fear of success is real. And I'll say that because I have a couple areas in my life and I'm pretty successful, like professionally. And I tend to lead when I meet with people or meet new people, they ask you what you do. I tend to lead with the things that I perceive that people think are valuable, right? You've accomplished this and you have this career. But I met a new person, I was talking, and I realized when I listened to myself that the thing I find most valuable, which is the gift of teaching and helping other people, I minimize when I talk, which is also the reason why I never led to make money in that area, because I never put value on it. I put value on what I was educated to do or what I'm certified to do. And then I realized, well, that's me. Like, that's my own internal value system that's holding me back, not because everybody around me, because in that same week, somebody said, your gift is to help people. That's your call. And I was like, but I don't do that. And they were like, yeah, you do all the time. Why are you not doing that for a living? And I went, because I don't value it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I'm valuing it based on what other people have determined is valuable. And that actually was such a liberating moment, because again, it goes back to, once you can accept yourself, like I accept the fact that I did that. So then it allowed me to make a different decision. And that's when I started putting out all this content, but then it opened the door for me to meet these new people, help people successfully. And I'm like, that just opened up a whole new door in a space, because I made a decision to accept myself, accept the fact that I had made a mistake in the valuation, and adjust. Yeah. And by making the adjustment, it just opened up a whole new door. A whole new door.
And that goes right back to like why it's so imperative that we share stuff. Because for one, like, you wake up with the mind that you have. You wake up with the gifts that you have. So they're not valuable to you because that is your gift. Whereas you share it and people are like, oh my gosh, that was so profound. Like it took me a long time to think that I had value to share anybody. Like I'm like, what? You thought that was this is how I think. Like this is but if you don't share it, you don't know that it's valuable. If you're keeping stuff to yourself, your gifts, then like people show me drawings, I'm like, man, that is so impressive. When I hire people, I always hire, and I teach my children that when I hire people, I was just having that conversation today on that investment meeting, that whenever I like have a designer work on something for me, I was taught by my mentor to always hire 2 to 3 people. And I realized why that's so important, because if you're hiring somebody for a service, it's more than likely because you can't do it. Let's start with that. And the reason why that's important to understand is because if you only hire one person, no matter what they do, it's going to seem wow, because you're basing it based off of your expertise or your gifting. I can't do it. So no matter what they give you, that is going to be amazing until you get the second and third person that you hired and you have a comparison. And it's like, I'm offended that you charged me this for this mess that I thought was great before I saw these other 2 share what it is that they shared with me. So I say all that. It says God wants us to give our gifts to others. That's exactly right. I say all that to say, exactly, your gift is that thing that you do when you say, oh, all I did when you have in your mind, all I did was, and everybody's like, that is so amazing. That is your gift. You need to focus on that and realize how valuable that is and figure out how you can build a business from that. We're going clearly finances is an issue. So we definitely we'll have a show about that. But that we getting off topic. We already off topic. But Michelle, what's your last thought?
The last thought was that love is a conscious effort to constantly keep letting go of that person and the control of that person. So every time you have that inkling to hold back or to stop or you have to make a conscious choice. I'm just going to let them go, because like you said, that gives them the space to have the choice to be with you, not because you made them, not because you guilted them, not because you goaded them, inspired them, encouraged them, not any of that. You just pull back a little bit and they're still there. It's because they made a choice, not because you made them make a choice or you framed it so that they have to make this choice. That just is so rewarding to know that somebody really just wants to be around you because they want to be around you.
And first of all, that was wonderful. Again, that goes back to what you let go is what you have more control over. Like it's so you have no idea how much. But Leslie Fatland ends the show with the quote. I'm gonna read the quote and I'm signing off because it's great. By Edgar Case. It says, "For until ye become as a savior, as a help to some soul that has lost hope, lost its way, ye do not fully comprehend the God within, the God without." And with that being said, we are going to conclude this show. Thank you so much for sharing, Leslie. Until we meet again, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all who stayed the whole show. You all are awesome. I promise you, I'm going to continue to grow.
11 people over here. Thank you so much. All these people, thank you so much. Good to see y'all.
Appreciate y'all. Until we meet again, I will continue to pour into myself so I can pour into y'all and we all grow. I love y'all. Y'all be safe. Thank you for your minds and time. Till we meet again. Peace.